Hey there, community. It's Nat Ferrier. And I thought I'd jump on because, wow, what a huge 24 hours have we just had. There's so many things that are moving right now, from people talking about the seriousness of how seriously we do need to take this right now, to people. I've seen a lot of concerns around the apathy that's still going on, that a lot of people still don't seem to be caring enough about what's going on right now. There's lots of concerns around money, understandably, because lots of circumstances have changed. There's concerns around intimacy because people aren't going to see people. People aren't going to physically be able to be in contact with people, and all of our usual coping mechanisms and the things that we love to do. There's some of the ways that we do things face to face that we can't do them. Housing is an issue for some people because they were circumstantially in shift anyway, and some of these changes are affecting things. Work has disappeared for some people, and then business is changing for some people. I know a lot of people, just the elimination of the face to face aspect has meant that a lot of people in my community have just found themselves either without a work opportunity, or some of the business projects we were all launching. And I know this has impacted me too, because a lot of the stuff that I do is face to face, right? A lot of the stuff I've been doing is events to do with speaking. I've been doing a lot of support for the events industry, and a lot of support around face-to-face work. So there's a lot of my projects too, like many of your projects, have just mysteriously, if for a while, are just suddenly on hold. And it's just an interesting thing, isn't it, when that happens, when so many people were like, yeah, I'm ready to gear up and go into this, and then all of a sudden it's like this giant stop sign happens. So there's a whole, array of psychology that's going on around that, as well as a whole heap of financial concern around that. So I just wanted to jump on to say that I feel like I'd love to run 2 webinar spaces this week. One of them, I feel I just love to run it around just the stuff that's coming up for us, and just allow a support circle type space online for us to be able to talk about things if you'd be interested in that. And the other one, I want you to stay tuned for more info on. It's coming as well, and there may be other people involved in this as well. Because of the complexity, and because I've been privileged to be in a place this last several years where part of my thing was helping business owners and practitioners who were in face-to-face to transition to online offerings, right? So while I'm hearing a lot of people right now who are like, damn, I can't do this thing that I was going to do face-to-face, I can't speak at this thing, I can't run this event, I can't do all of this. And I so feel for you in doing that. And at the same time, and in going through that rather, and at the same time, there's another part of me that's like, I can just envision, like I can just already, for those of you that I know, I see 10 other things that you're good at that you've maybe forgotten that you're also good at, that I'm like, hey, that could be a webinar, that could be part of an online thing, that could be part of a program. What if you were to move that online? So part of the thing I want to do this week is just open up another webinar space to like talk about that, to help you strategize this week. And there may be some more support coming around that, but just stay tuned, because that's a work in motion. But let me know if you're interested. A couple of things I think are really important in the interim, though. So important right now. Compassion. And I say that too because it's about to be a new moon in Aries, and if ever there's a time where people are just like, you should just build a bridge and get over it, and just are in their warrior selves and are likely to fight about it and get angsty and blamey, and the stuff's going to be up, it's going to be in a new moon in Aries. Like that's the inherent go energy, and the impatience of that kind of is going to bring that up a little bit. But one of the things I think it's really important to remember right now is that everybody's going through their own version of a struggle within this. Yeah? Everybody's got their own thing. there's somewhere in that spectrum of things that I just mentioned that everybody's kind of, somebody's dealing with some aspect of it. We've all got our own skeletons and our own challenge that even if we can't see it on the outside, what the person's dealing with, we're all dealing with some version of it, right? So I think it's more important than ever than that we be aware of that. And as we approach the people that we work with and in our inner worlds and our inner circles, that we just be mindful of that. What's going on for them right now, and how can I love and support you through that? Bless, so much of that's already going on, but as a little reminder or just an affirmation, even that's so important right now. There's so much adaptation having to go on. It's funny because in the grand scheme of things, we're going to see that there are things emerging right now that in a way we've been asking for some changes and we kind of weren't acting upon it. We were stalling a little bit and we've been given opportunities and we didn't act upon them. And now all of a sudden there are hidden gifts within this because there are going to be opportunities finally to act upon things, right? One of the examples I was talking about earlier, I did a quick post, I talked about health, right? Australia has been searching for a while, and according to last year's Google report on what Australians were searching the most, stress and anxiety is freaking us out. Also, we're completely worried about this never switch off from work paradigm. And the thing that's emerging from all these COVID-related doctor visits and tests, what's actually showing up instead? A whole bunch of other illnesses and infectious diseases that people didn't know that they had, like whooping cough and shingles, and yes, the flu, and other forms of coronavirus, and all these other things that we've kind of been walking around with, carrying around, spreading around, have been sick because of, and hadn't even realized because we're so caught up in this way of life that we're trying to get all this stuff done, we're trying to be everything, we're trying to have everything. It's moving at this massive pace, and a lot of us actually need a break. A lot of us have become disconnected to ourselves. We're not taking that time to stop and listen to ourselves, right? I can't talk. I've had a big thing in me, which is the exact reason that as of this afternoon, I'm now working from home because I'm technically immunocompromised. And I say that just because of my background and the ways that I've worked in health and around microbiology and virology. I have a very different kind of perspective of the kingdom of microbes to other people. So I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle, but at the same time, I wouldn't say only come at it from that angle because not the whole population has that viewpoint. And there is a very real physical reality that this virus still transfers from person to person, and that still needs to be managed in the meantime. But there's the possibility of a big perspective shift in how we view health, how we view illness. This is another aspect of how we're at war with it, right? We're at war with viruses now. You know what? A virus doesn't only do bad things within you. A virus can actually, technically, if it works within our DNA and our genetic, within our cellular machinery, rather, to reproduce itself, it also gets access to our genetic information while we're at it, and it can actually, technically, a virus could be used to reprogram your DNA in healthy ways also at the same time. But this is the thing that we forget about in moments like this, because suddenly the virus becomes the enemy and then we're all at war. That's all I'm going to say about that, right? There's a whole other reality to this thing, though. So there's perspective shifts that can happen, and there's a call to reconnect to ourselves, to actually hear ourselves around our health. And the being separated from others, while horrible and bringing up so much of our intimacy stuff, is also a gift, because now we have to be with ourselves. We have to be with ourselves through all these moments of where we're not appreciating our own company, and we're saying that our own company or our own ability to self-soothe ourselves or self-comfort ourselves, we're saying that's not good enough at times, right? And maybe there's a gift in that, in being left with some time with ourselves to realize, to maybe learn to appreciate our own company and how we can be with ourselves and build a better relationship with ourselves. Maybe there's something in that. big shifts, right? Um, at the same time as I think the thing, important thing to remember is that we're not in this alone. We're not in this alone right now. It's very easy to think that we're in this alone, that everybody's in their headspace. People are worrying about their mortgages. People are worrying about their rent and whether they're going to be able to pay it or get into a new place. People are worrying about that bank loan that they have and how they're going to pay it if it's not already a mortgage. We're worried about the business expenses and how we're going to cover them. But the thing it's easy to forget in amongst all this is so many other people in the same boat at the same time. And then something's going to have to change because of that, right? Because everybody's in the same boat at the same time. So we're going to start looking at it differently to how we used to look at it when it's just you and one isolated incident, when it's all happening at once. We have no choice but to look at it differently and to deal with it differently. So as just as one example, there's just like so many things like this that are just going to have to change, right? And maybe is it the worst thing in the world that this glass ceiling on this financial paradigm that's being propped up by massive amounts of stuff being dumped into it from certain places that are keeping it from falling apart? Maybe there's going to be a gift in it falling apart. And maybe we're a little too attached to how exchange happens right now in one particular form, when other cultures that have existed on this planet would say, well, there's other ways that you can exchange things with each other. And, there's just other ways of looking at things, that there's just so many perspective shifts that are just possible within this. And as a community, we're going to figure it out. As a bunch of smart people, we're going to figure it out. We just will. That's just what humans do. We adapt, we evolve. So there's something to be, while there's the initial stage of just dealing with the shock, and we need to take time to do that, there's going to be wonderful changes that come out of this. There's going to be adaptations, and it's going to be great. And in the interim, there's a big thing right now of just trusting in that support is going to be there, that it's going to come. There are so many amazing leaders stepping up right now. Bless them. There are so many amazing people at a community level that are just going knocking on their neighbours' doors right now. Have you seen the kindness pandemic on Facebook? There's just countless examples of it. And bless the people I see on Facebook and LinkedIn every day just going hard on this right now and just give, and being of service and just being heart-centered. It's beautiful. And there's new resources becoming available. People are going to create new things and new forms of support within this. The government's already put new ideas on the table and new forms of support for anyone who's dealing with being stuck at home with corona, who's lost work because of current circumstances, or whose business and clients are down. There's temporary measures to help get us through, and they're far more generous than they've ever been. That's a beautiful thing. So we're not alone in all of this. There's support coming in. And there's a beautiful gift. It's a gift from our high selves. It's a gift from above. It's a gift from our own minds and our own creativity. There's this whole other thing that's going to be great, that's going to happen, that, I think of this every time that I spend time by myself, right? And I've spent a lot of time in my life where I've spent a lot of time by myself, and I've been used to, having to self-soothe and look after myself and have my own back. So I'm quite comfortable with it at this point. So when I get moments to myself, like yesterday when I'm just here by myself, like I'm just doing dumb shit, like YouTubing 1982 jazzercise videos from Judy Shepherd Miss It, and I'm just standing here like doing these crazy 80s moves, sugar, like working it all out, and then singing Lady Gaga and having a ball because I'm okay with being in my own company like that. But it's these little things, like when you have time to yourself, I'm going to bet there's 1,000 little things that you do like that you've also wanted to share with people, right? And there might be reasons that you haven't done it. Maybe there's like some webinar version of something that you love doing that you've been holding off sharing with people, that maybe now's the time. maybe that's how you connect with people, is maybe you share something along those lines. So there's going to be a beautiful gift in terms of the creativity that's going to come out of this time. I think that's something to be really celebrated and appreciated, because some good ideas are going to land now, and I think that's really damn exciting. Like, that's really exciting. But yeah, let's just keep loving each other and supporting each other and showing up for each other in the meantime, right? Because we all have our moments. I'm having my moments. You know, I'm good now. I've just got to a point this week where I'm resolved in, I now am set up to work from home a little bit more, and have just got the assets to do that, so I don't need to keep going out while I'm technically in medical quarantine now. But this time last week, in the morning when I was walking to the train, was with my sunnies on with tears streaming down my face, because I'd just spent the last couple of days ringing banks trying to get extra money and being denied because I don't have 126k in my super right now. I just tried to speed up all my medical appointments and failed, and felt like a lot of people were incredibly apathetic to the urgency of the whole thing. And I felt like I was talking to a lot of people, and I was speaking into the void of, I'm sharing stuff about what I'm going through right now. And some people, times like this really show you who's on your team and who isn't, who doesn't give a shit about you and who does. So I was going through this huge thing that I just couldn't hold it in while I was walking to work on the way to a work scenario that I had no certainty as to whether it was going to continue. It is. But I was just like, oh my God, does anybody give a shit if I live or die right now? I went into the depths of my abandonment shit to some whole other level that I haven't been to it in quite a long time. And I know, right? Everybody's got their own version of something that's going on right now. Like I said, a week later, I've stepped into a whole other perspective of, I've organised other things for ways I can look after myself and my health in the interim. And in the grand scheme of things, I just need to rest a bit. But, I can still work. I can still do little things, and that's not a bad thing. I don't need to be bedridden 7 days a week at the moment. So there's little things that I can still contribute within this. So that's just one of my examples, right, of something that I've been going through. But, I know we're all going through it. So let's just keep loving each other and being there for each other. And everybody's going to have up moments and down moments, right? This is part of the beautiful thing I'm really grateful for about in the last several years. Some of the business organisations I did work with, we did amazing things, but we had amazing times where we could just be real, and people took turns at being real and having moments where they fell apart, and other people held space and stepped up while that was going on, and then that person would be okay again, and then people would intermittently take their turns of falling apart, and then the other people step in, and it just somehow beautifully balanced itself. That, I feel like sometimes in the business world we don't give ourselves enough permission to be human and enough permission to be real, because we're like, oh, that's a giant distraction from, getting shit done. That's you playing in the shit. That's toxicity. That's negativity. That's all these bloody things. But I've been a part of these revolutionary models where we were human, we were vulnerable, we went through some of the biggest traumatic shit you could possibly go through in the space of a couple of years, and yes, we still had massive business success and helped shitloads of people. So from my perspective, I'm going to stop swearing now, I'm sorry for all the swears, but I just feel like it needs to be said that while it can feel in times of struggle like everything's falling apart, it isn't always. It is falling apart, but we can still, there are ways to navigate these things, right? There are ways to navigate these things, and there are ways to still live a life that we love beyond and despite whatever's going on. And my whole life has just been such a smorgasbord of experience in learning what that looks like in action. So that's why I said this week I'd really love to, if you feel that you would like to be a part of it, I'd love to just open up a webinar space where we can just talk about what's going on for you in that respect, and I can help you navigate the change. At the same time as business-wise, I'd love to open up another space for those of you who are leaders and speakers and entrepreneurs who are in transition right now from face to face to needing support to get online, and I'd love to offer something for you as well. So stay tuned. I'll give you some more details. I know this has been a bit longer one today, but I just felt like just wanted to be with you, just wanted to share something, and it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Big love to you. Take care of yourself. Give yourself a giant hug. Here's me sending you a giant virtual hug from where I am. And yeah, let's chat soon. Cheers. Bye.